Hello, once again, my brothers and sisters. What an exciting day we have before us. We get to study 2 Kings chapter 8. And really, this tells a story, but underneath the story, as in so many narratives in the Bible, there's a principle or two that are running right through it if you know what to look for. And one of the things we're going to see today is that God's promise to David to keep this kingship of David as an eternal event. Eventually, you and I who understand the New Testament to some degree anyway, we know that Jesus will eventually sit on the throne of David. That's the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And God's going to keep his promise to David. But it turns out that the dynasty of David is filled with corrupt, evil kings that God normally would judge severely and wipe out. But God shows godly restraint. Why? Because his promise to David causes him to just keep his judgment hand at bay. He doesn't bring the judgment that he normally would because the promise is more important than the judging of those who are doing such evil. What that tells us is two things. One is God always keeps his promise, but two, just because you're living your life and you're getting away with whatever evil you may be doing in your life, and you don't receive the judgment of God, don't assume that God isn't paying attention. Maybe God has a higher purpose. He's allowing the evil to happen for a time. Well, we'll see that further into this story as we move forward. Look at 2 Kings 8 with me. Now Elisha, remember he's the prophet that has received the mantle from Elijah. Elisha had said to the woman whose son he had restored to life, remember that happened in chapter 4, the Shunammite woman, go away with your family and stay for a while wherever you can, because the Lord has decreed a famine in the land that will last 7 years. So what's happening? God is going to remove the blessing of plentiful food from the land. There will be a famine. Elisha understands what God's going to do, and Elisha not only has raised this lady's son back to life, but now he's protecting her by telling her what to do to get through the famine. The woman proceeded to do as the man of God said. She and her family went away and stayed in the land of the Philistines for 7 years. All right, so message given, message received and obeyed. At the end of 7 years, she came back from the land of the Philistines and went to the king to beg for her house and the land. So now she's been gone 7 years. Who has my land? Who's living in my house? King, you need to restore me to where I was. Now, verse 4 has a little problem for us. The king was talking to Gehazi. You remember Gehazi? He was the assistant of Elisha. He became leprous when God judged him for his deceitful betrayal of Elisha. All right, well, in the end, now here he's talking to the king. Well, we know that kings won't be in the presence of lepers. What's happening here? Well, most likely in chapter 8, we're not being told a chronological event. We're being told an event that happened back before chapter 5. Nonetheless, it's put in here to make the point that it makes. Let's look at this. The king was talking to Gehazi, the servant of the man of God, and had said, tell me about all the great things Elisha has done. So the king is unaware and not informed about the power that God has exerted through the life of Elisha. Just as Gehazi was telling the king how Elisha had restored the dead to life, the woman whose son Elisha had brought back to life came to beg the king for her house and land. And Gehazi said, this is the woman, my lord the king, and this is her son whom Elisha restored to life. So you want to know about what the prophet has done? Well, how about raising somebody from the dead? That's a godly miracle for sure. All right, well, the king's paying attention. The king asked the woman about it, and she told him. Then he assigned an official to her case and said to him, "Give back everything that belonged to her, including all the income from her land from the day she left the country until now." So isn't that amazing? God restores this woman, this Shunammite, that has been so kind to Elisha. She is completely restored. She's saved from the famine. She's restored with all the income she lost while she was gone, and her land and all her possessions. God takes care of the people that love him and follow him. That's amazing. Okay, well, 7, Elisha went to Damascus. We're turning the page here. What's happening? And Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, was ill. Remember, Ben-Hadad has been causing trouble for the northern kingdom for quite a while now. When the king was told, the man of God has come all the way up here. So now Ben-Hadad is ready to listen to Elisha. He said to Hazael, that's his servant, or it turns out to be his successor, but we don't know that yet. "Take a gift with you and go meet the man of God. Consult the Lord through him." So this evil Ben-Hadad understands that Elisha is able to talk to the God of gods, not those pagan gods that he's been serving. Instead, let's talk to the Lord of Lords. Consult the Lord through him. Ask him, "Will I recover from this illness?" That's the question. Okay, well, listen to this. Hazael went to Elisha, taking with him as a gift 40 camel loads of all the finest wares of Damascus. Well, so, let's try to bribe the prophet to get the right answer. He went in, he stood before him, he said, "Your son," look at this, "your son, Ben-Hadad, king of Aram." Nothing like a near-death illness to help you humble yourself. Now, Ben-Hadad, this mighty king who's been wreaking havoc for chapters, he's now the son of Elisha. He's humbling himself before the prophet. "Your son Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, has sent me to ask, will I recover from this illness?" Listen to this answer. Elisha answered, "Go and say to him, you will certainly recover." Oh, well, that's good news, isn't it? But look what the text tells us. "But the Lord has revealed to me that he will in fact die. Tell him he's going to recover, but I know he's a dead man walking. He's so sick he's not going to recover." And then look at this 11. He stared at him. This is Elisha staring at Hazael. He stared at him with a fixed gaze until Hazael felt ashamed. Oh, and here comes a turn that's amazing. Then the man of God began to weep. So picture this scene. Elisha staring at Hazael, and now Elisha starts crying. Wow, why? This is the powerful man of God. Why are you crying? "Why is my Lord weeping?" asked Hazael. Here's Elisha's answer. "Because I know the harm you will do to the Israelites." God has shown me what you're going to do with your life, and it's horrible. "Because I know the harm you will do to the Israelites," he answered. "You will set fire to their fortified places. You'll kill their young men with the sword. You'll dash their little children to the ground and rip open their pregnant women." Wow. So, Hazael, you might seem like you're an assistant to King Ben-Hadad right now, but you're going to be a terribly, terrible, wicked, evil person before it's over. Hazael said, "How could your servant, a mere dog, accomplish such a feat? The Lord has shown me that you will become the king of Aram." So we know Ben-Hadad's going to die, even though he's been told he's not going to die. And we know now that Hazael is going to become his successor. And the Lord knows all of these moves. The Lord is showing Elisha what's about to happen. God understands and is sovereignly in control of history. We can rest in his wisdom, understanding, and know that political things happen as God opens those doors. No matter what it looks like circumstantially, God moves the pieces on the board of history. Then Hazael left Elisha and returned to his master. When Ben-Hadad asked, "What did Elisha say to you?" Hazael replied, "He told me that you would certainly recover." But the next day he took a thick cloth, soaked it in water, and spread it over the king's face so that he died. Oh, now here's a moment to ponder. Hazael has told the king that he will recover, and Elisha's word perhaps is true that he could have recovered. But Hazael killed him, murdered him, assassinated him. Hazael succeeded him as king. So now we know that this wicked person, Hazael, has risen to power through assassination. In the 5th year of Joram, now we're going to have to pay attention to this. You know, the book of Kings is about kings, and we'll show it at the end, but pay attention to these names. In the 5th year of Joram, son of Ahab, king of Israel, when Jehoshaphat was king of Judah, Jehoram, son of Josaphat, began his reign as king of Judah. So now we know that Jehoram is in the southern kingdom reigning over Judah. Joram, a very similar name but different guy, is a king of the north. All right? We're going to have reason to get confused here if we don't pay good attention. He was 32 years old when he became king and reigned in Jerusalem 8 years. He walked in the ways of the kings of Israel. That's the northern kingdom now, the wicked kingdom, those who have given themselves to pagan idolatry, as the house of Ahab had done. For he married a daughter of Ahab. Here's the line: he did evil in the eyes of the Lord. So we have Jehoram in the southern kingdom now, declared as evil. But here's the verse for us. I hope you get this. Nevertheless, here it is, for the sake of his servant David, the Lord was not willing to destroy Judah. He had promised to maintain a lamp for David and his descendants forever. So the Lord holds his hand of judgment back, even though Jehoram is doing terrible evil in his eyes, intermarried with Ahab's family. In the end, God says, no, my promise to David overrides my judgment at this moment in history. In the time of Jehoram, Edom rebelled against Judah and set up its own king. So now we have some more political intrigue. So Jehoram went to Zair with all his chariots. The Edomites surrounded him and his chariot commanders, but he rose up. He broke through by night. His army, however, fled back home. So there wasn't a great victory, but there wasn't a great defeat either. To this day, Edom has been in rebellion against Judah. Libnah revolted at the same time. So now there's great political upheaval in the southern kingdom. As for the other events of Jehoram's reign and all he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? Jehoram rested with his fathers and was buried with them in the city of David, that's Jerusalem. And Ahaziah, watch this. Ahaziah, his son, succeeded him as king. So now we have Ahaziah as king of the southern kingdom, the son of Jehoram. Okay, this is going to get exciting now. Watch this. In the 12th year of Joram, son of Ahab, king of Israel, so now we're up in the north, Ahaziah, son of Jehoram, king of Judah, began to reign. Now we're in the south. Joram's king in the north, Ahaziah's king in the south. All right, remember that name. Ahaziah was 22 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 1 year. 1 year. He doesn't last long. But notice what the text tells us. His mother's name was Athaliah, a granddaughter of Omri, king of Israel. This may play into a significant thing as time moves forward. He walked in the ways of the house of Ahab and did evil in the eyes of the Lord. There it is again. As the house of Ahab had done. for he was related by marriage to Ahab's family. Ahaziah went with Joram, son of Ahab, to war against Hazael, king of Aram. At Ramoth Gilead, the Arameans wounded Joram. All right, so King Joram returned to Jezreel to recover from the wounds the Arameans had inflicted on him at Ramoth in his battle with Hazael, king of Aram. Then Ahaziah, son of Jehoram, king of Judah, went down to Jezreel to see Joram, son of Ahab, because he had been wounded. So, just to try to cover some of this confusion here, let's go back to the chart we did so long ago. On the northern side, you see all the kings, and all of them have basically turned out to be evil. Ahab was the last one when we stopped the chart. Southern kingdom, there are two guys, Asa and Jehoshaphat, that seem to be able to do what God wants. Ahaziah was added to the northern kingdom list. He reigned for 2 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord. Joram reigned for 12 years. Again, he did evil in the eyes of the Lord. So the northern kingdom, the line of kings, is totally corrupt. Get to the southern kingdom, Jehoram, not Joram, he reigned 8 years and he did evil in the eyes of the Lord. And then we have this new guy, Ahaziah. Notice that there's an Ahaziah on both sides, the northern and the southern kingdom. We will unpack that as the text allows as we move forward. What do we learn today? God will bypass evil in certain circumstances to fulfill his promise. And if we are living in an evil way and not receiving the judgment of God, thinking that everything is fine, we need to think again. God is paying full attention, and he never forgets. Serve him well today, church. God bless you.
Who is it who for sinners shed his blood, and now for cleansing all can plunge beneath that flood? It's Jesus. But do you know who he is? He's the image of the invisible God, and he's the brightness of his glory, the first, the last, the future, the past,